Welcome to Talking Touchdowns, brought to you by Nuke the House. JC, a wise man from Compton, once said, "When I got a sawed off, bodies are hauled off." And Brandon Staley's body was hauled off last night as the Raiders put up 49 points in the first half. JC, I wanted to beat that record that you guys put up against the Broncos so bad this season, but it wasn't meant to be, as we finished with 63 points to get our 6th win of the year. Staley's gone, but don't look now. The rumors are Belichick's going to be the one that replaces him. Can my life get any worse? Oh my, can you imagine that? I mean, isn't that like the ultimate upgrade?
Yeah. I mean, is that like, is there any, is that 100% speculation? Is there any kind of credence to that?
100% speculation. 100% speculation. But anyways, what a great time I had watching that game last night. And, we'll go through these game by game. But JC, tell me your thoughts as you watch the Las Vegas Raiders absolutely dismantle the carcass of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of hit on the head. It's not 70-20, but I guess it's still impressive. You put up 63 points. You think you're going to be the record holder for the decade, certainly the season, but things didn't go that way for the Raiders. I mean, it just crazy. I mean, second week in a row, I look like a damn fool taking the under on Thursday Night Football, but it was just overall impressive play from the Vegas Raiders. I mean, AOC didn't even have 250 passing yards. White led the team in rushing with 69. It was just eloquent, get the job done football. I mean, the defense did give them really good positionings for a couple of those drives. That's part of the reason they didn't light up the stat sheet. But it was just like deep passes, short passes, running the ball. Certainly the Chargers, their defense, right, they're not world beaters, but I mean, overall, great look for the Raiders. I think it kind of gives your boy from Compton, I think, a real shot at
That's my hope too. I don't want to rebuild, and there's no candidates out there that I'm like excited that or can't miss.
Yeah,
Harbaugh to me, he's past it. Ben Johnson would be cool, but I mean that means we lose the defense and everything we built with Patrick Graham. I really hope that they keep this regime going forward for at least one more season, and let's give them a little more talent and see what this new GM can do. So that's what I had to say about last night's game, JC, but it was the most enjoyable experience I've had watching the NFL.
Isn't it fun? Yeah,
it was absolutely fantastic. So here, let me refresh my bookmaker right now. And JC, don't look now. Normally we wait till Sunday for our next action, but it looks like it will be tomorrow. Are you ready to dive in to this slate, or did you have any other thoughts? Did you want to talk about Monday Night Football at all?
I'm sorry, Fred. Did you not catch the title of the show?
What is it?
It's week 15. We're talking week 15.
Oh, okay.
I will just say that was in a different way, an experience unlike any other, right? Like,
how mad were you when I hit you with the Taylor Swift?
I was already in shambles at that point, so it was, you were, beating a dead horse. I was
just kicking you while you were down.
100%. Like,
whatever. Your own game.
Look, so right. This is something that you'll kind of get this. As rooting for a franchise has been terrible for so long. I mean, so long for you, whole life for me, right? I think once upon a time in your life, the Raiders were good.
Twice upon a time.
That's how old I am. Yeah. Like large spreads. This is new territory for me. Betting on my team with the large spreads. This is totally new. So I'm watching the game. It's unfolding. I'm like, crap, there's no way we get a cover here. Like, I don't know why Tennessee's hanging around. And I'm like, all right, let's just make sure we get a win here. And it looks like, they start performing better. It's like, okay, cool. We got this. Well, at least we have that. And then we go up 14. I was like, holy crap. I'm sweating the cover now. Like, we got a chance. We're going to cover. And then I'm watching Tennessee drive. I'm like, well, if they score, Miami's going to run out the clock. We're not getting the cover. So I'm sweating the cover, sweating it. Tennessee scores. We get the ball back. and then we go 3 and out. And now I'm
And
sweating.
you didn't run out the clock either.
No, yeah, it was 3 and out. Like it was terrible, and I was sweating that. And so just this back and forth of like worrying about my bet, worrying about my team picking up a win, and then getting neither in the end. I was a miserable feeling. Miserable. I'm very concerned.
Well,
I'll be honest. I don't know. Again, this is another thing. Rooting for a team that's been crabby for so long. If anyone offered me like 30-1, whatever the odds would be on Miami to lose out, I might bet it. I hope I'm overreacting, but I mean, just those are the scars kind of reappearing where you got to worry about. Are we bottoming out? Have we?
Honestly, JC, I was going to rub it in so much more, but the elation from last night has turned me into such a happy man. It's taken the hater out of my soul.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I bet the Lakers tonight on the money line. I threw it in a parlay. That's how happy I am. After yesterday.
What you know those memes where it's like the
end.
Isn't
there like a Christmas story like this where a guy's like a real bad guy and at the end he turns everything around?
Yeah, it's like the most famous Christmas movie all time.
Yeah, that's me right now. Ebenezer Astaire.
Yes. Oh, it's like that meme. It's like the world, the world now, and it's like the world if the Raiders put up 63 points.
Yeah,
every
and
week.
it's got
like what would spread be? What would he accomplish in his lifetime if his team was just always good?
Yeah. Hey, JC, I did want to point out Dasha's here with us today. She's getting her camera time in there. Well,
I see that. Yeah, that's
because
really
I didn't have a host earlier, so Dasha had to come on the show with me.
She's
no
getting
cat
after
teams
it
in basketball, though, is there? For her to endorse? I don't think there's a cat team in basketball.
No, we
have the
Charlotte's Bobcats anymore.
Yeah, we don't have them. So, but there is a cat team in the NFL, JC, and they're first up on deck tomorrow morning or afternoon for you guys out on the East Coast. The Cincinnati Bengals are now -3 in Minnesota, taking on Nick Mullins and the Vikings. JC, another one I would like to victory lap. You had Josh Dobbs way too high. The guy's benched now for Nick Mullins. Jake Browning is someone we didn't even have on our list, JC. I wonder if we redid that now, where we'd put him. And I think this performance on Saturday is going to go a long way towards doing that because we've seen a lot of players, Dobbs included, look good in a short sample. The question is, can you do it consistently? My answer is I believe Browning can. The Minnesota Vikings like to blitz. Browning's been excellent against the blitz so far this year, completing 61% of his passes for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 9 point something, I can't remember off the top of my head, yards per play against yards per attempt against the blitz so far this season. The Vikings are also a dome team going outdoors. I like this Bengals defense. I don't know if the Vikings are going to be able to put up points, and I do believe that with all the weapons around Jake Browning, it shows you that system matters so much when it comes to these quarterbacks. You give these guys an opportunity to succeed. Most of the guys with natural talent will. I like the Bengals -3. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It kind of feels, I don't know why the line is where it is. So that always kind of concerns me. Like it feels like a little bit of a trap. It feels too easy.
I think at 3.5, they take too much Vikings money.
I think it should be a Bengals blowout. Like that's why I'd go. Hell, I'd have gone in Cincinnati. Like I'd expect like a touchdown. So feel free to juice that up. Yeah,
the Minnesota Vikings are 7-6, and they started 1-5. So that means they're 6-1 in their last 7 games.
And
the
how
defense has played impeccable. A team that put up 63
games.
Points last night was shut out by the Vikings on the road.
Sure, but still, I mean, they scored 3.
I think 3.5 would be too attractive.
And
I don't think they'd be balanced at 3.5. I think the line's right.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you can think of that. But I'm just saying, I might juice it up.
Thank you.
I might juice it up, grab like Bengals -7, or just play it safe. You want to take the -3. But Browning's been, I was going to say great, and that's an overstatement. He's been what he needs to be, right? This team is solid all around. He just needs to be a high IQ quarterback. He doesn't need to be a gunslinger. His completion percentage has been off the charts these past few weeks. I mean, he's not throwing it 40 times, but he doesn't need to. He's just making smart passes, letting the talent around him do the job because they don't need him to do that. They don't need him to be Joe Burrow. And he's looked great. He's in, I mean, this is definitely an under spot just because that Vikings defense is something else. So that will be an interesting matchup. But I mean, if he's able to win this game by a touchdown or more, I mean, I think that really ranks up this Bengals team. And then as for the Vikings, like I said, great defense, but I don't expect anything on offense, right? And I don't think you can get a 3-0 win against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I think your point on the under, though, shows you why the spread's at 3.
That's fair.
But we
No,
both agree the Bengals are the right side. We've already bet it. It's on our treasury map that's available on fanspeak.com. And we are in with the Cincinnati Bengals. JC, we also have a play on the second game. It's the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Colts are -1.5. The total's 42. But with all the injuries on the Steelers, I got to go against my favorite head coach here. I just believe this is going to be too much for them to overcome. Not to mention, we don't rate Trubisky very highly at all, right? So I'm sitting here, and I got Gardner Minshew, and I don't believe the Steelers. TJ Watt's not 100%. He's not affecting games like he used to. This Colts team's a lot better than I expected. We like the Colts to get it done at -1.5. So 2 favorites to start the show. I know, call me square, but that's where I'm landing. What do you think?
It's a tough one. I can't believe you're not taking your boy as a dog too, right? I mean, it'd be one thing if this spread was flipped and they were
okay. So we have Tomlin trends, right? But then look at the TJ Watt trends, and without TJ Watt, this team's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Like, I mean, there are all those crazy stats with JJ for all those years, but like, man, TJ brings it to another level. It's crazy that one guy on defense could have such an overall impact on the team.
Yeah. So I like the Colts -1.5, but you sound like you might be hesitant there.
Hesitant, yeah, but I'm certainly not gonna bet the Steelers. It's probably just an overall pass for me, but I don't mind the play on the Colts. I mean, you know, Gardner Minshew, that offense, you never quite know. More than likely, though, you're going to get 20+ points, and there's no way that Pittsburgh can compete with that. So as long as the Colts are able to move the ball with any ferocity whatsoever, I don't think they'll have too much trouble winning this game. Possibly an under here, but I'd probably stay away. But lean the under as well.
All right, I've liked 2 favorites so far. But I have a feeling for the evening game, the night game, you're going to like the dog here. The Detroit Lions are -4.5. They're hosting the Denver Broncos. The total's 48. Hey, that's some fun, right? We're not used to seeing that in the NFL anymore. That used to be an average total. Now it feels sky high. I agree with you a bit on the Broncos, but let me just tell you a couple of my concerns. So I haven't placed this yet. It's a good rebound spot for the Lions, who'll be back at home, right? And they look pretty bad outside, but we expected that. The Broncos' defensive success hasn't been on stopping their opponents. It's been predicated on turnovers. So if the Lions are able to avoid turnovers, I do believe they can move the ball at a high yards per play basis. And finally, Frank Ragnow's back for the Lions, and I think that was a big loss for their run game. So, JC, we're going to start with you. Go ahead and break down why you think the Broncos +4.5 is a great bet against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, the money line feels a little trappy. It's definitely enticing. I think 4.5 is the safe bet, right? Lions being back at home is certainly a concern. We've just been so back and forth with them. Denver, you know, I've been all over Denver. I've been winning money on Denver week after week here. However, like you said, I mean, looking at their defense, right? They're coming off a game with the Chargers. You know, they are no good. Houston, I believe they had Stroud, but no Tank Dell in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's the game he got hurt. I think he started but didn't finish.
Yes, I mean, Mills played barely. Yeah. Oh, Tank Dell, yeah. So concerns there. It could be an upset spot potentially. Like if I was to pick out some upsets, this would be one. But I mean, +4.5. That's too many points for a team that is hot. I mean, they're hot. So certainly give me the 4.5. Wouldn't blame me for taking the money line, but like I said, feels like a trap.
Tyler, you're up late celebrating that Raiders win, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Are we getting that? Are we getting surly Tyler today? Am I going to get served all show?
Maybe.
All right. Well,
probably not get much energy out of me.
All right. Well, all we need is the winners, and we're going to go back to when we first met. And the only time you spoke, you remember when you first started doing the live show with Keg? The only time you'd speak would be just to give out a winner.
Yeah.
And me and Ant would just be babbling with Max the whole time. All right. JC's made a compelling case for the Broncos, but I haven't gotten there yet. How do you feel about this game where the Lions are laying 4.5 at home on a total of 48?
It smells like a trap. Denver's caught a very easy part in their schedule. They won a couple games that they shouldn't. I'm not sure they're as good as everybody's trying to make them out to be.
Who, Denver?
Yeah, the Lions
I
are
don't think
coming
so
home after a hard part in their schedule, losing 2 key offensive linemen. They get those guys back. I think this is the spot where Denver's in the spot where it's like, oh, we won all these close scoring games, but we never really had to put up any points. Well, now Detroit's got 31, and Russ can only get us to 24. So I'm on the Lions or pass.
I mean, but given what we've seen from Detroit's defense, that doesn't give you any greater confidence in the Broncos?
Not really, when they can only put up like 20 against Buffalo's Swiss cheese offense that week. They really didn't just like pound Minnesota into the ground. Like, they just don't put up points. They win these games on the defense.
To be fair, Minnesota's defense is pretty good now. And I said that at the beginning of the year. You get Brian Flores, you're going to have badass defense as long as you have average players. Tyler, what do you think of this bet? He's got 2-1. This is our guy, Boogie Nights. The 2-1 for the Lions to have the highest score on Sunday.
I would want way better odds on that.
It's only 3 games. I mean, Saturday. I'm sorry, Saturday. I spoke.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad look. I'd have to look and see who all the teams are on Saturday, but
so it's Bengals, Vikings, Colts, Steelers, Broncos, Lions.
That makes sense then, yeah.
Right? At 2-1. I wonder what the Bengals are at that, Boogie. If you got the Bengals number, that might be an interesting one too to throw in a little. I'll bet you they're at least 6 or 7-1. What do you think of that one, JC? Do you think the Broncos will win outright? Are you interested in this plus 188 money line on your guy Russell Wilson?
Like I said, it's so tempting. It's extremely tempting, but it's just plus 4.5. That just seems automatic. Like, as if Detroit, I think it's still gonna be a close game. So certainly best dog of the day, without a doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'd agree with you there. Tyler, if I said I want to put the Steelers in a teaser, what would you say about that?
So don't do it.
Okay. The Atlanta Falcons are -3 in Carolina. They're taking on the Panthers. Total is 34. Whoa. I mean, what the heck is this? Every week looks like Army Navy here on this board. I think this game's interesting. I think it's a lot of fun. You know what I like to say, right? What have you heard me say? You guys are probably sick of me who say fade dome teams in December. This might be the exception that proves the rule. Because what do the Falcons like to do? They like to run the ball. They don't play like a dome team. Their defense plays pretty well. I think we're getting a discount because it's outdoors. But if it's at that crazy rainy conditions that I'm expecting, don't you think that favors the team that can run the ball rather than the team with Chuba Hubbard and what's that again? Miles Sanders, one of the worst offensive lines in the league? Falcons have an above average offensive line. They have good running backs. I don't know if they need to pass the ball to win here. Tyler, we haven't played this yet, and I hate to be super square, but boy, I'm starting to like the Falcons here going against the worst team in the league. What do you think, Tyler?
I'd rather just not bet this shit game of the NFC South. The only NFC South team I want to be involved with is Tampa Bay. I'd rather not try and decipher Atlanta beating Carolina when they should, but Carolina's probably going to win one more game the rest of the year. I'd rather not get in front of them and they win the one game that I bet against them. So I'm not betting on this ugly game.
All right. Tyler doesn't want to join me, but what do you think, JC? Think about it. Atlanta running the ball outdoors in the rain seems to really favor them. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I can't really argue with that. And Tyler makes a good point. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, what's the alternative, betting on the Panthers? I don't think so. I think a much better look at this is take the Panthers under 16.5 points.
Okay. That's not bad either. All right. So JC says take that team total under. I like the Falcons -3. They're correlated. Here's one I couldn't convince Tyler on, but I might end up ending on my own. I'll start with you, JC, because I already know that Tyler doesn't want to join me on this one. I like the Cleveland Browns. The Chicago Bears have terrible road splits. I know they've played a lot better lately. Most of those games have been at home. Cleveland has the best defense in the NFL, and DJ Moore might not even be out there. I like the Browns -3 here. I'm betting on the best defense in the NFL, and Flacco's been serviceable. I believe that's all I need to cover this game against the Bears with a total of 38. What do you think, JC?
Yeah, no, I love it. Flacco's been kind of like Browning. He's just getting, I mean, not nearly as good, but he's just getting the job done in Cleveland, doing what he needs to do. That defense is something else, and he's just got to rely on it. And if you don't think, if you think Justin Fields can outplay this Cleveland defense, you shouldn't be gambling, right? Like go ahead and call that helpline. I think Cleveland -3 is a smash spot for sure.
And what I said earlier this week, I can't remember which show, but Cleveland was -3 to the Jaguars. So now the Bears are equal to the Jaguars. There's no way. So I like the Browns here. Tyler, do you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I mean, JC's still my call the hotline number. You love to see that. But, I mean, he's going to try and use it on me for this game. And we've watched mobile quarterbacks score points on this Cleveland Browns team. And now you're going to put the most mobile quarterback on the field, who's going to run away from Myles Garrett, extend plays, keep the drives alive. Yeah, they're an ugly team, but they have nothing to play for. These are the scariest teams to end the year. Is Flacco just some elite quarterback that's just going to put lights out performances up week after week? I don't think so. Eventually going to lay a dud. This line makes no sense. Why'd they line it at 3 like Spread said? It's the Jags game. Something's wrong here. I want nothing to do with it. Both starting tackles are out for the Browns for the rest of the year. Their line's getting banged up. Montez Sweat's look like a truck. I'm not betting this game.
All right, and I haven't bet it yet either. Tyler does make some good points. The one that sticks with me the most, Tyler, is that offensive line injury report. I feel like I can counter each one. Like I feel like even if Fields does pretty good, how many points do you think that Flacco's really going to need to get? The Bears don't have anything to play for, but they've been terrible on the road. But when you throw out that offensive line injuries, and we look at what they did to the Lions.
The weather affects Chicago 0 because they play in this weather all the time. They're on the other Great Lake with their stadium. They get the same weather Cleveland gets.
How far is that to travel? See, this is where I'm a stupid West Coast
There's
guy.
not much. There's a
if I were to drive from Chicago to Cleveland, how long would it take?
Like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, it's not
That's
long at all.
it?
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. I like the Browns -3, but on both these games here, here's the deal, right? When you start liking every single favorite, which I have so far, except for I understand your point on the Broncos, JC. You think, okay, I'm not capping this card correctly because right, that's why we have to really be discreet. That's not the right word. Selective on which one of these favorites we choose.
Discerning.
Discerning. That was the word I was looking for. They started with DIS. Thank you, JC.
Mm-hmm.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are +3.5. They're in Green Bay. They're taking on the Packers. The total is 42.5. Tyler, earlier you said the only NFC South team that interested you was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is this a case where they do? I kind of like Green Bay to bounce back here, but this line was 3 earlier in the week. That's a lot more attractive than 3.5. We know that 3 to 3.5 is worth more than any other half-point move in the NFL. Your thoughts here on the Buccaneers? This is the one that I don't want to get involved in at all. I like the -3 with the Falcons and the Browns a lot more than the 3.5 here with the Packers. What do you think?
Yeah, this is just a complete stay away game for me. I'm not
JC,
not betting Tampa up in Green Bay, and I don't want to bet Green Bay right now. So stay away from me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a good argument with Green Bay. What do you think, JC?
Oh, I kind of like Green Bay. I mean, I agree. I feel like I've had, I mean, there's some good dogs on the board, so I'm not in the same position as Spread. But I mean, that was a bad Monday night game. We saw prime time. It affects things, but more importantly, look at Tampa Bay. they're coming off back-to-back wins against the Falcons and Panthers. So 2 crappy division rivals. Past that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've lost 6 of the 7 prior to that, and their one win was against Tennessee in Tampa Bay when the Titans were at their worst. So I don't think there's anything impressive about this Buccaneers team. Green Bay, they're still in the hunt. So I expect a huge bounce back spot. You hate catching 3.5. I'm seeing it minus 105 at 3.5. So maybe it goes back to 3, a little bit better of a spot. But I like Green Bay here.
All right. JC likes Green Bay, but we can't bet this many favorites. So we're going to have to be discerning, as JC said. The Houston Texans are +4. They're in Tennessee taking on the Titans. Tyler, so Stroud is out, right?
Yeah.
Is it Davis Mills or who was the other option? I thought it was going to be
the other option.
It'll be Davis Mills.
Okay. I know the Titans look cool in that little last 4 minutes against the Dolphins. But overall, that wasn't that impressive performance. Plus, right, Vrabel and Tomlin, this is like their specialty, me against the world type situations, and they don't perform well as favorites. The Texans are their division rivals. Let me check. For some reason, I remember that this might have been one of those funky division games where one team always wins. Houston's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 against Tennessee. Tyler, do you think this 4 points is too much for the Titans to be laying? I'm kind of the opinion that it is.
And I say no, but this is another game I want nothing to do with. I'm not betting a 3.5 with Davis Mills, and I don't think Will Levis is good, so I'm not betting this game.
JC, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, that line is definitely juiced due to, like you said, 4 minutes. The last 4 minutes we saw of Will Levis. Outside of that, he looked helpless. So I think it's an improper line. I think it should probably be closer to a pick 'em. But
yeah, I think it should be like -1.5, -2.
Yeah, but I'm certainly not going to bet a Houston team with all these injuries. So no interest in touching this one. Maybe an under, maybe. But I've been burned by these unders recently, so I'm kind of off of it.
Texans are pass for me, but we'll probably end up passing. The New York Giants are +5.5 now. They were +6 earlier. They're taking money, and I think that's the right side. I think the Giants are the right side here. The total's 38.5, but Dennis Allen is the worst coach against the spread that's not a first-year head coach. Derek Carr is terrible as a favorite of 3 or more points. And this Saints team, to me, really isn't that impressive. This Giants team seems to be on a roll. There's no reason to think that they can't keep it close here. I like the Giants plus the points here. Tyler, what do you think?
I think it's another one where I just completely stay away from it, to be honest. I don't want to bet Tommy DeVito when he's at his highest, and Derek Carr, I'd rather just gouge my eyes out with a sport than bet on that man. So another game. I think I'm going to have like 3 bets this entire NFL week because this NFL week it just keeps getting worse week after week. Like the matchups, it's like, oh, these were bad. And then you look at next week, it's like, oh, they get worse. And then here we are 3 weeks later. It's like, well, what are we even looking at on this board right now with these quarterback matchups? So there's another one. I'm not touching Tommy DeVito versus Derek Carr.
I said at the beginning of the NBA show that I did earlier, Tyler, but -110 is the book's advantage. Our advantage is that we get to choose which games we need to bet. And I think you hit it right on the head. You don't need to force action this weekend. I mean, there's plenty of Bulls games. There's NBA games. The NHL is going on. Unless you feel like you have an edge, you don't need to force it. And I agree with you. I'm just telling you, the Giants are kind of attractive here as a dog. We'll see if we get there. JC, do you want to help convince me to take Tommy DeVito, or do you think this little Sopranos theme song comes to an end here?
I locked this bet in on Tuesday. I normally got about one
with
a week.
The Giants?
Yeah, oh yeah. Because I mean, here's the thing: is I completely understand the problem with betting Tommy DeVito, but for me, that's not what makes this a great bet. It's the fact that he's going up against Derek Carr and the Saints. And the Saints are horrible. I think they are so bad. And I think this number's ill-placed, and I think it's partially because they're coming off a 28-6 win, but who do they beat? The Carolina Panthers.
At home.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you'd have a tougher time beating Alabama. So I think DeVito's decent. I understand the hesitation in the spot, but at the end of the day, they take care of Green Bay. They can absolutely take care of the Saints. So catching that many points.
When you look at New Orleans, neither the head coach or the quarterback's ever done good laying a lot of points.
Yeah.
Even when they win, they're always crazy nail biters. And I'll tell you what, I don't believe that Saints offense believes in their quarterback as a leader. I think Carr had a lot more support in the locker room in Oakland. I don't even want to say Las Vegas, because that right around that Kaepernick deal, I think he kind of divided the locker room a little bit with some of the stuff he said. And I believe that team would rather play for Jameis. They're locked into Carr contractually. So we talked about it yesterday. Go ahead.
I was going to say the money line's certainly enticing, but when I saw you can get 5.5 points, I'm shocked. The reason I locked it in on Tuesday, I thought it was going to move. I mean, it opened at 5. You said it went all the way up to 6. I thought this line was going to be brought way, way down. But I don't know. I guess a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money this week.
They still are the Giants. And if you're doing full season projections, they're not very good. Pretty good over the last 4 games, though.
And how many games has Tommy DeVito played?
3 or 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So carry on.
We talked about quarterbacks, too. Could that be another deal? There has to be some resentment that Daniel Jones sucks. Saquon Barkley is the reason he got that contract, and then he gets paid and Barkley gets shortchanged.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? And then you got a guy, right? He's only making, league minimum or whatever. He's one of them.
Did you see that tweet that was like, Ohtani signed the biggest deal in North American sports, and it should hold until Mac Jones signs his next contract?
Oh, my gosh. That's disgusting. Don't even talk to me about baseball. What a stupid sport.
Okay, we're not. See, it was just...
I mean, what's the point of having a team if it's not in New York or Los Angeles or Atlanta? I mean, it's just, if you're not in a big market, you're dead. Like, why does Kansas City have a team?
Houston
like
and
the
Texas.
Biggest market in the America. Houston is huge. Isn't it? Houston's bigger than Dallas?
I don't think so.
I'm going to look up media markets right now. I believe it goes New York, number 1, LA, number 2, Chicago, number 3, and Houston's going to be really close. I'm going to look that up right now. While I do that, Tyler, bring me into the next game. A huge media market. The New York Jets travel down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. And boy, if I look tired today, guys, it's because I've been doing a lot of work lately. And it's tiring being right so often, because I tried to tell JC, Tua is no good without Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is what makes that offense go. Tua is just an accessory. Tyreek is the engine. Tua is the power windows. So we saw that when he went out of that game, Miami offense didn't look very good. Tyler, I'm assuming Tyreek's going to play, though, because this line's moved to 9.5. Your thoughts on the Dolphins? Can they win by double digits against Zach Wilson and the Fighting New York Jets?
If Tyreek Hill's in there, I think so. But, I mean, Zach Wilson was playing with nothing to lose last week, threw for 300 yards. Their defense is going to look decent. They have the corners to slow down the other guys around. And if Tyreek Hill is banged up, he's not going to be able to rely on that speed as much. Again, it's an ugly week. I probably just stay away from this game. I'm not running to take 9.5 with the Jets, and I'm not running to lay 9.5 with the Dolphins.
All right, JC. Your chance to combat me verbally as I continue to slander the good name. He's a good young man. Just an average quarterback of Tua Tagovailoa.
I'm taking the 9.5 points.
What?
Yeah. Like talking about the top of the show, they're just scars of past coming up. And I'm really, really worried about this team. And for me, I see it as a win-win situation. I mean, number one, that's just a lot of points in a divisional game. Especially when they won by 21. So I think you're just in for a closer game this time around, especially with the Jets coming off that performance. Maybe Zach Wilson has a little bit of swagger. I'm certainly hoping Miami wins outright, but I think 9.5 is just too many points. And then it's kind of a win-win situation for me. Either my bet cashes or Miami dogs them, and my faith in this team is restored.
I love to hear it. I absolutely love to hear that, JC. What a great show today. I'm glad you're thinking with your wallet and not your heart. JC, I do stand corrected, though. Dallas is ahead of Houston. All right, you want to hear the top 10 media markets? New York, LA,
definitely
Chicago.
left out Dallas, Atlanta. Go ahead.
I left out Philadelphia. They're 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Houston is 6th. So I was pretty close. Atlanta's 7th. Boston's 8th. The DC's 9th. San Francisco, the Bay Area. Say they'll count the whole Bay Area. San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose is 10th. How far do I have to go to get to Sacramento? We're 20th. All right. Where do you look,
what
JC?
does this have to do with baseball being the best sport in the world?
It's the worst sport because unless you're in a team with a huge market that's got a ton of money, you got no chance to compete.
That's simply not true.
How is it not true?
Because plenty of teams with low budgets and small markets have one.
Who?
Kansas City.
In what, 2014?
Okay, yeah, but recently, most of the teams are in large markets. So, yeah, I'm sorry, the majority of the World Series recently have gone to those. Tampa Bay was in the World Series a few years ago.
And they lost.
Yeah, so what? Like, this is just a terrible.
I live in Sacramento. I don't like big markets winning. That's why the NFL is king, because Green Bay can compete equally with New York.
Yeah, that's totally not a fair comparison. Green Bay isn't a pop-up new franchise.
It doesn't matter. Any NFL franchise can succeed. They're not dependent like the NBA and Major League Baseball on teams in LA being good. Even your dog agrees with me. The San Francisco 49ers.
That's our next show spread.
What's our next show?
I'm going to just roast you with some facts and let you know why baseball is so great.
It was a great sport. Now it's been completely corrupted. It's disgusting now.
This is an NFL show. Let's keep it moving.
That's my line.
At least I didn't have to jump in and say it.
Yeah. I'm as interested in having this conversation right now as you are, Tyler.
12.5 for the San Francisco 49ers when they take on the Arizona Cardinals. Total's 48.5. This is another one I like the dog. I like the plus 12.5 here. I have not bet it, though, because do I want to step in front of that train, that moving train that is the number 10th market in the major media world, the San Francisco 49ers? I don't know if I want to do that with the Arizona Cardinals. Where are they on this list? It doesn't matter. Kyler Murray's done well against his team. He's won 2 of their last 3 straight up playing against the 49ers, and he's the type of quarterback, Tyler talked about it in that Browns game, where even the best defenses, you can't scheme for a guy like that because he's so fast, he's so quick. The question is, are the Cardinals going to be able to put any sort of resistance up on defense? That's going to be the key to them covering. They have to be able to slow down the San Francisco offense somehow. And that's why I haven't placed this bet yet. I don't know if I can get myself to convincing myself that other than just like a let down, look ahead, you can't be up every week. How are the Cardinals going to stop the 49ers? Tyler, what do you think?
The week to take the points against the Niners was last week when they played the Seahawks. They covered that one easily. There ain't a chance I would take the points with the Cardinals right here. They can't stop the run, which means McCaffrey could just absolutely gouge them the entire game. Any running back they put behind that offensive line is going to gouge that defense. Marquise Brown's hurt. He might not play. That takes a weapon away from Kyler. Yeah, he beat him, what did you say, 3 of the last 4 times?
2 of the last 3 that he played.
look back on that, the Cardinals were a lot better of a team back then too.
And it wasn't Purdy, right? I mean, it wasn't. It was.
Yeah,
I think it was Mullins.
I think
Beathard
San Fran wins this game like 30-10.
Okay, we're on opposite sides here. JC, break the tie. Do you like the Cardinals or the Niners at plus 12.5?
The Rams just beat the Cardinals by 23, and you don't think San Fran can beat them by 13?
I mean,
just worried that they
the last 3 games they played against each other: 35-16, 38-13, 38-10.
All right. Are we anything more on this game? I rescind it. We won't take the Cardinals plus 12.5.
Yeah. There's. I mean, if you want to say divisional game, too many points, I don't want to lay it. That's fine, but please don't think about betting Arizona. That's even worse than betting Chicago this week.
All right. The Washington. Go ahead. Anything else, Tyler? Did I hear something?
No, I just reading something on the screen.
All right. The Washington Commanders are plus 6.5. They're in Los Angeles. They're taking on the Rams. One of the highest totals on the board. Oh, it's officially the highest total now. People took my advice and bet the under on the Bills. Now this is the highest total on the board currently at 50.5. Tyler, for this game to go over, Sam Howell is going to have to get it done. I like a Rams team total over here. I think they're going to score regardless. The question is, will the Commanders be able to keep up? Should we just bet the Rams team total? Do we bet the Rams minus 6.5? How do we approach this game?
I think you tease the Rams down to a pick, get them at a half a point or wherever you can get them there. It makes it easier. You find a leg to pair them with. I do like their team total. I think they put up a ton of points. And it's in LA, so you really don't have to worry about weather, but it is showing 70% chance of rain in LA, so that might cause
it's indoors.
Isn't it? I thought it was open in the top. Like, I thought that was like a half dome.
No. It's
okay.
It's open air, but it's got a complete roof.
Okay.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I saw Taylor Swift there.
That's what I thought. How was it?
Oh, it was tremendous.
You have one of those bracelets?
Huh?
Do you have a Taylor bracelet?
No. I'm not one of those guys. If you're asking about the stadium, it's weird. So we were, of course, on the floor, and you have to walk down, like, I don't even know how far, because it's just like ramps, and it's kind of like walking up to the top deck of most stadiums. It's like the opposite. You got to walk that far down to get to the field. Kind of weird, super cool design, but kind of annoying that you have to go through to get to your good seats.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tyler. Go ahead.
No, I knew that Swift information was very key, so we had to get that in there. But yeah, back to the football game. Like, the more I look at this, I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger on the over, because Washington against these NFC West team, 10 of the last 12 have won under. And the Rams, when they play the NFC East, 4 of their last 6 have won under. So they just don't travel well when they play each other in the division games. There should be a lot of points, but the total also went from 46 to 51.5. How often are you going to click a button that's been steamed up that far and take the over? Not very often. So I lean over. I don't think I get home on it. I do think the Rams win the game, though.
All right. Rams team total?
Maybe.
Okay. Doesn't sound like you're rushing there to put some money on that. JC, thank you earlier for that enlightening Swift conversation. What do you think about the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Commanders?
Yeah, I mean, I think this over is kind of high. I definitely like the Rams to cover. I think a touchdown. I think they should be able to handle it. Problem with that total is, so the Rams, they're good for at least 30, we'll say. But, I mean, the Commanders rarely score over 20. Like, I think the only times they've done it this season was against the Eagles, maybe the Broncos as well. So I certainly have no interest in relying on them to cover their part. But I was trying to see what the Rams team total is, because that could certainly be more enticing. 28.5. Absolutely. Crush that over. Rams over 28.5. I like that even more than Rams -7.
Yeah, I'd agree there. I think Rams team total is the best way to approach that game. The Kansas City Chiefs are -8 in New England taking on the Patriots. The total is 37. Belichick's been good against the Chiefs against the number. Where is that? I think he's 4-1. Let me double check that. 4-1. Oh, Kansas City's 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 against New England. Oop, my mistake. Tyler, what do you think of this one? I didn't want to get involved in this game. Muted.
That sucks, but it's 8.5 now. It's on the. If you tease it, you can get it down to 2.5. I don't hate getting the Chiefs below a field goal. I think they win the game in the end. I'm not laying 8.5 with them though. Their offense sucks. They figured out that all you have to do is kind of bracket Kelsey and force these other bums to try and catch the ball and beat you because they can't catch. But this lines up as a spot where Bailey Zappi comes back down to earth. Zeke off the big Thursday night game comes back down to earth. Kansas City's defense punches a touchdown in off a strip sack or a pick six, and they win the game like 17-10 or 17-6. So I'm going to bet the defense to score and maybe tease Kansas City down, but that's about it.
JC, what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be gross. The defense is the one thing New England's done well all season long. Also, too, adding to that, kind of what's going on with Belichick and the Patriots. So this kind of seemed like the spot that he kind of comes out and says, like, yeah, I might be done with the Patriots, but I'm still Bill fucking Belichick, and I'm going to go out there and beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
He's got an audition for his new job that opened up today.
Exactly.
The Chargers owner woke up and said, "You and you out."
Yep. Chiefs are 7-6 at the spread. We know they're not great at covering. No interest in that. But seeing that it is still the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not rushing to bet plus 8.5 either.
Total's gone under in 5 in New England's last 6 games at home. JC, do you have any thoughts on this total of 37?
Yeah, definitely lean under, but like I said, I could just see it going both ways. That I just all around want to stay away from this game.
Yeah, it's not the most exciting game. You know what is though exciting, Tyler? The Dallas Cowboys taking on the Buffalo Bills. We had a big discussion about this on the Fan Speak show yesterday, but we're both on the same side here. We like the Bills to bounce back. We think this is a potential letdown spot for the Cowboys, who have looked great late. I just can't even talk. They've looked great lately, but they've been at 3 games at home. Now they head out to the road. They're a Texas team playing in the cold against the Bills team that's playing much better. And I know stats and fantasy aren't going to tell you that, but Josh Allen's still a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, in my opinion. And I also trust the Bills in a close game a lot more, in my opinion. Yes, Dallas boast racism, good for them. That's their path towards victory. But I believe that the Bills keep this close, win in the end. I like -2. I like the under 51 yesterday. It's down to 50. That makes sense to me. I think this total continues to go lower. I like the Bills in the under. Your thoughts, Tyler?
I'm just taking the Bills. I'm leaving the total alone. It's just the total. I think the under would be the side I would probably bet on, but it just rubs me as this game could just end up like the Philly-Buffalo game where it's like, all right, we looked good for 2.5 quarters. And then the offenses took over and they scored 40 points in the fourth quarter. So I'm probably staying away from the total. Bills back into a corner. They really can't lose any games now, especially with Cincy starting to win games because Cincy holds the tiebreaker. So does Denver. So they need to stay pat with those teams. They can't fall behind them. I think they win this game on their home field. I think Dallas, after playing the big and bad Philadelphia Eagles that they wanted to get the win over, they blew them out on their home field. Now they head up north into the cold. I think this is the game where Dak makes 1 or 2 mistakes. Everyone's like, oh, turnover prone, Dak's back. When in reality, it's just one game out in the weather against a team that is very desperate. So I think the Bills get the win here. I think Josh Allen has a decent game. And Dak throws if it's a close game, I think Dak has a late interception that decides the game.
We had a question in the chat earlier. It's from our guy Viral. He said, I'm confused why Dallas is +3. Well, I have +2. Sure.
I got +1.5.
Yeah, he thinks they should be -1 or a pick. JC, this line says these teams are even if they're given 2 for home field, which seems about right. Maybe it should be a little more with hashtag Bills Mafia jumping through tables. But it's saying these teams are equal. Do you believe that? Do you believe that these teams are equal? And if so, how are you betting this game?
Yeah. I mean, looking at recent data, I think it's going to be a close, well-played game. Sure, on paper, sure, season as a whole, Dallas is better, but especially situationally, I think there's appropriate place spread, and I'm on Buffalo as well. I mean, some important numbers. I don't know if these guys already brought these up, but Buffalo's 5-1 at home. Dallas is 3-3 on the road. Buffalo's an extremely hard place to play. Could be a little wet. Buffalo season's on the line, and they showed last week they're not rolling over. So they got a lot more to play for right now. They're looking good, like Buffalo, and lean the under, but probably won't actually get there just because, Josh Allen could go out there and put up, 42 on his own. You got any props for this one, Tyler?
I do not. I have no props on this one. I was reading something on my phone. I didn't realize Fred walked away. So when I looked up, it was like, oh, we ain't got nobody to host right now. So
you think Bills make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think the Bills make the playoffs. I mean, we took them to win the AFC 20-1.
Oh, that's right.
Week.
Yeah.
I think they're 9-1 now.
Probably some interception props would be good here on both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
MGM, they normally do that. You can just do like over 1.5 for the whole game. I'd probably jump on that. You can probably get good odds.
Yeah, I don't mind the interception props.
You're good, Spread. We were just filibustering while you
Thank you.
Went and did whatever it is that you do.
I'm old. I use the bathroom a lot. The Baltimore Ravens are -3. They're in Jacksonville taking on the Jaguars. But it's probably going to be 3.5 on your guys' books. The total here is 43. I don't know what to make of this game, man. I usually love these home dogs. And I made a nice little case there for the Jaguars yesterday, Tyler. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. The Ravens, it's a really good football team. Can the Jaguars keep this game close?
Yes, they can win this game outright.
Okay, let me know.
I mean, are the Ravens really all that good? They win games, but I swear week after week, it's like, well, they're in a dogfight and they got to gut this one out. They were supposed to walk the Rams off the field last week, and it took a punt return touchdown in overtime to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're as good as people think. They're not as good as their record is. I'm not sure they're all
right now. Who's better, Stafford or Trevor? I'd say Stafford's better.
Sure. What does that have to do with this?
Yeah,
the fact that he said the Rams kept it close against the Ravens.
But you're telling me one guy who's historically bad outdoors in the weather kept this game close and took it to overtime and actually diced the defense up, when the other guy has no problems playing in the weather and has played in the elements his whole career instead of a dome. That's where the difference is.
I'm just so down on Calvin Ridley as the number one receiver, and without Christian Kirk there, I just don't think this offense.
That's not Zay Jones.
I just don't know if he's going to be able to get open against this top Baltimore secondary, and they can't run the ball. What do you think, JC?
Yeah, I got no issue in having this one because I agree. Jacksonville, they've been playing a little scrappy. They need to win, right? Their division's slipping away. I mean, it's been slipping away. They've been in a tight spot. They really need to step up, kind of get some wins, close out the season. Winning out would definitely be great for them. Maybe bump them up a seed. Baltimore's, they're going to lose one of these close games eventually, like Tyler was saying. Wouldn't be surprised if it's here, but I'm not wagering on that.
All right. Tyler, anything more for week 15? Because JC said I'm not allowed to talk about week 14.
Just a little bit more to touch on this game right here. What was it? Jacksonville's had trouble with wide receivers, but it's been more of the guys that just get absolutely pelted with the ball and just get the volume, like the Jamar Chase and these guys. The Baltimore wide receivers aren't those kind of guys. Like maybe Zay Flowers gets 6 targets on Sunday night, but Is he going to take over the game and catch 180 yards on 10 catches and a touchdown? I don't think so. I still think Etienne will be able to run against the defense. And Trevor Lawrence on one leg almost beat the Browns last week, who are a much better defense. Gets a week to recover, plays an easier defense that lost pieces last week, the injury against the Rams. I think the Jags upset them here.
How much better do you think the 49ers are than the Ravens?
Way better, like at least 4 points, 5 points better than the Ravens.
Okay. Because the 49ers beat the Jaguars 34-3 in Jacksonville.
Well, that was also the game after they lost 4 in a row and they were looking to make a statement.
Yeah. JC, any more thoughts here on that game before we go into the best bets?
No, it's kind of a gross slate. Like you said, it's a lot of favorites jump off the board, and that's never really a good thing.
We found some dogs, though. You like Denver.
No, for sure. There's a couple.
I think the Texans are better. We both like the Giants. You made a great argument for the Jets. You guys talked me out of the Cardinals. I'd say we found started off pretty square, but I'd say it ended up fairly even.
Yeah, I just hate that so many of my bets this week are looking like their sides. Like I'm not on as many over unders, so yeah, gonna have to really work. Normally, when I jump off the show, my slate's completely locked in, but I'm definitely gonna have to think through this one a little bit more.
All right, Tyler, are you ready for a best bet?
Yep.
What you got for us?
We are gonna take the Bills -1.5. We'll roll with that one.
All right, JC, best bet.
Yeah,
for the people.
I'm gonna keep it in Buffalo as well. Over 1.5 interceptions in that game, -105.
That's sweet. So you didn't take each player. So if one guy just has a terrible game, you win.
Yep.
I like that. I'm going to take the Bengals -3. That's why Dosh is in here. We're Cat Team City over here. I like the Bengals -3. I've said it multiple times, but I believe the Brownings are better than he looks, and we're fading a dome team outdoors. There you have it. And I know you guys all tune in mainly to hear me, but you guys love the words of wisdom. JC, take us out of here.
Yeah, instead of words of wisdom, I'm going to do kind of a life lesson today. For if there are any true degens out there that are going to be watching Houston at Memphis tonight, you can catch me sitting courtside. I'll be there. And the lesson there is just, if you two are following Nuke the House, if you're taking our plays, you too can have enough money to sit courtside as long as you live in a city with a really crappy basketball team and pretty affordable courtside tickets. Thank you so much.